So we are back with our continuing commentary on the Gospel of Mark. We're now in chapter 5, which is basically two things: the Gerasene demoniac, as he's called, Legion, and then the dovetailed account of the healing, resurrection of a 12-year-old girl, Jairus' daughter, dovetailed with the healing, salvation of a woman with a feminine blood flow who has been suffering from that for 12 years. So the first episode is this coming to the other side of the sea, to the region of the Gerasenes, and this must be outside of the Holy Land. Jesus steps out of the boat, and in Markan fashion, immediately uh, a man comes out of the tomb having an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs. So he is akin to the dead, impure as are corpses. And it said that no one could bind him anymore. I'm reading the ESV. Uh, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart and broke the shackles. No one had the strength to subdue him. I think if you read the Greek version, it literally says there was no one strong enough to uh, control him or subdue him. So that we have here probably the third and maximum instance of Jesus as the strong man. We saw that in chapter 1, John the Baptist says that one stronger than I is coming, uh, and he will baptize you with Holy Spirit. And then you have Jesus in Mark 3 speaking about if a strong man uh, is attacked by the devil, for example, or if a strong man is guarding his house, no one can plunder it unless he's stronger than the strong man. And of course, Jesus is stronger than the satanic forces over which he has exousia or power. So those things are related. It's translated many times authority, but we have emphasized that this word coming from Daniel 7, the Son of Man, will have all exousia, all dominion. The English Bibles are translating dominion there, but then when it comes to the use in Mark and other places, they use authority, etc. Paul uses the same word for right. Don't I have the right to a wife, etc. But now, in the greatest manifestation of this strong man nature that Jesus has, he is going to tame and control a super possessed demoniac who says his name is Legion because we are many, but the reference to the Roman Empire is not lost on commentators. I think especially Richard Horsley. I may not agree with everything he writes, but I think Horsley is the commentator in the New Revised Standard Version, the Oxford Annotated. He's very big on the political implications of messiahship, etc. And he's followed by N.T. Wright a lot on that. So this is a sort of a hidden political message. Jesus has power over the Romans, even though he will fall into the hands of the Romans. So that you have here this strongman idea. And again, I repeat, giving credit to people that I've read and have influenced me. Ricky Watts, Rikki, wrote a thesis on Isaiah's second Exodus in the Gospel of Mark. And of course, you know that in Isaiah 63, you've got the famous, I think that's where mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He has trampled on the vineyards where the grapes of wrath are stored. You have here a lone warrior, only Yahweh, he doesn't need human help. This is the theme in the Bible. Daniel, there's a little stone that topples the whole statue that represents all these empires because it's got clay feet. So a stone launched not by human hand in Daniel 2 topples the statue. In Isaiah 63, you've got this warrior, I think, heavily marching with all the weight of his armor coming from this symbolic vineyard or wine press, which he has trampled on alone. I trampled it with wrath, uh, and I got all splashed with blood, sprinkled with blood. We have similar images in warriors in the book of Revelation. And this, he says, my own arm saved me, and the fury that I had sustained me. I trampled on the peoples in my wrath. I trampled on them with fury, and I made their blood run through the earth. So that it's actually, sort of a mysterious passage. I'm not sure that God in priestly sacrificial role is one of the notes that I have here. By the way, on a personal note, this was my exam with Joseph Blenkinsop at the Pontifical Biblical Institute in Rome in the third Isaiah course that he taught during a special semester he spent there from Notre Dame. Catholic Biblical Association sponsors a one semester Rome teaching tour, which is a lot of fun, I'm sure, for them. And for us, a great privilege to have, I think, probably the most learned professor I ever had, Joseph Blenkinsop. And so Jesus is now being presented as this strong man. And again, following what I remember of Ricky Watts, the new Exodus has to be led forth by God or his lieutenant. Remember that the very beginning of the book of the consolation of Israel, Isaiah 40, ends with this good shepherd passage. Very interesting. Yahweh comes with his arm, subjecting everything. He brings his salary with him as a pastor shepherds his flock. He gathers in his arms the little lambs, which is very beautiful, because these little lambs, talaim in Hebrew, is going to be the same word Jesus is going to use to the little girl, Jairus' daughter, when he says talita kum. Maybe it should be in feminine, talita kumi. Little lamb, get up. And so and he grabs her by the hand and lifts and raises her using, Greek resurrection verbs. Just like the woman with the blood flow is going to be healed and saved, interchangeable concepts in Mark, just like forgiveness is another tantamount to salvation, tantamount to healing, tantamount to rising like the paralytic, being restored. And this is all restoration language for Israel, as I am reading a lot of from, again, N.T. Wright, The Resurrection of the Son of God. I'm on page 700 something, learning a lot from him and just incredibly impressed with him. And also I bought his Magnum Opus, the two great volumes, 1,600 pages total on Paul, that I will start at some point later. But this man is in the tombs. No one was strong enough until Jesus, the strong man, comes. And in the same crescendo, we have been seeing that the possessed persons acclaim Jesus with titles. The first one in chapter 1, you are the Holy One of God, which is a priestly appellative from Psalm 106. Aaron is the Holy One of Yahweh. Peter says to Jesus in John 6, you are the Holy One of God, we have come to believe. And then you have these demoniac, and of course the demoniac says, I know who you are, you've come to destroy us, etc. You're the Holy One of God. And then in another place, all these demons would cry out, you are the Son of God, but he would tell them not to say it to anybody, etc. And now this demoniac reaches the apex. He calls him Jesus, Son of Most High God, which in Aramaic and in Hebrew would be El Elyon, God on the high. And El Elyon is a tremendous title for God. I'm sure it's found in Daniel, the saints of the Most High. This would be in Aramaic. And it's also very interesting usage in a very important messianic type psalm, Psalm 89, where you have all kinds of things regarding the thrones and David and all kinds of things. But the one I want to focus on right now is that I guess my fidelity, probably Emet, and my chesed, or my love, my surprising love, will be with him because of my name. The front of his face, his forehead shall be raised. I will put his hand over sea. Sea is a chaotic realm. We saw that in Mark 4 with the calming of the storm, using an exorcism command and leading to the question by the disciples, who is this who even sea and wind obey? And I will put over river, another mythological concept of power, etc., divine, semi-divine in the Ugaritic literature, etc., which my commentary here says David is invited to play Baal to Yahweh, like the lieutenant of El, the Ancient of Days. But this is the one I'm interested in. He will call me, you, my father, Avi Ata, my God and rock of my salvation, and I will make of him the firstborn. I will make him Elyon over the kings of the earth. There you have kind of a divine adjective, most high, Elyon, usually part of El Elyon, God, most high, like almost like the Israeli airline, El Al, two up or something like that. And so you have here this demoniac, uh, you know, uh, recognizing who Jesus is with this preternatural power. Of course, you probably are familiar with the fact that he sends them into a herd of unclean pigs, and they actually go into the sea. And they go back to chaos, which Jesus has also tamed, and which, as I repeat, will disappear in the book of Revelation with the new heaven and the new earth. There will be no place for sea. Just like there will be no place for the temple, God and the Lamb are the temple. So that you have these wonderful biblical images what Jesus is doing. I would say this is poetic type language, etc. And of course, there's gonna end with astonishment, etc., which is a marked theme. And we're gonna stop there just a little past 15 minutes or so. Thank you.